All right, welcome back to After Reality. It's your host, Courtney Robertson here. Hey, if you've ever stared at nutrition advice online and thought, wait, am I supposed to eat carbs or fear them? Today's episode is for you. I am so excited. I am sitting down with Abbey Sharp, a registered dietitian and the queen of evidence-based, no fluff nutrition. She's the founder of Abby's Kitchen, an award-winning author, and the creator of the hunger crushing combo method, which is basically the secret sauce to eating well without dieting, restricting, or spiraling. Okay, sign me up. Abby's all about building a healthier relationship with food and yourself. With science to back it up and just the right amount of sass. Love it. She keeps it real, guys. She's also a mom of two, the host of Bite Back with Abby Sharp, and the co founder of New Theory. Can't wait to hear all about that. Abby, I am so excited to have you here. Welcome to After Reality. How are you doing?
I am so good. Thank you so much for having me. I love this.
Well, you're just coming back from your book is amazing. I've been lucky to be, I've whizzed through about half of it, and your book is out
Mhm.
now. You just came back from your book tour. How's it going? How does it feel?
Well, I mean, we're still in it. Like it's an ongoing thing and it's very exciting. This has been like 2 years in the making. I always say it's like writing a book is like having the longest pregnancy ever. So it's always nice to finally give birth to the book baby. So yes, it's always very rewarding and just seeing all the incredible reviews and comments and messages I've been getting already just a few days after launch has just been so rewarding. So I'm very excited.
Well, congratulations. I wrote a book and that is like the best way to describe it. It's such a labor of love, but then you get to go out and promote it, which is the best
Hmm.
part because I mean, you're an expert in this field and I'm just really excited to share your knowledge with my audience. It's a new year, which, I know some people really use that as a time to kind of reset the deck and focus on health, which for me, I'm always doing that as well. I'm a mom of three. I love that you are, a mom of two. I really have a lot of great questions for you today that I hope can help my audience. But
Hmm.
I would love to hear. So I was reading the intro, and for anybody who's new to you, who can you just share who you are and how did you become a registered dietitian?
Yeah. So I'm Abby Sharp. And I've been working in the media essentially for basically the last 15 or so years as a dietitian. And ultimately I kind of got my viral start, so to speak, taking down, my critical takedowns of diet culture and
Nice.
these kind of toxic what I eat in a day videos. And I really kind of came into this profession based on my own experience with disordered eating. I suffered from an eating disorder known as orthorexia in my early 20s, late teens. And that's really where I learned what a dietitian even is and started to kind of unlearn a lot of the toxic messages that diet culture had taught me. And, after recovery, I really made it my mission to help others avoid these pitfalls that I had become susceptible to. And ultimately, when I suffer from an eating disorder, this was well before social media. This was 20 years ago.
Mm.
So I can only imagine what young people are going through today. The pressures that people feel today are so much more amplified than anything I could have experienced on my own back in the 2000s. So I think that these conversations are more necessary than ever before.
Mm, wow. I agree completely. I didn't grow up with social media and during that time I modeled for a long time. I've had friends, I've seen people with eating disorders and I was reading that in your book about orthorexia and I didn't even
Mhm.
know that that was a thing and it's if can you share a little bit about that and
Yeah.
because didn't you say you had to go to a homeopathic doctor to kind of find out you
Mhm.
was it triggered by finding out you had IBS?
Yes, basically. I
Oh,
mean, uh-huh. So, let's take it back. Let's take it back.
yeah.
So, I, orthorexia, just so people understand, is often described as kind of clean eating or an obsession with healthy eating taken to an unhealthy extreme. And so it's ultimately not necessarily about what you eat or even how much you eat, as we see with other eating disorders like anorexia.
Yeah.
It's really about the mental space that food takes up in your life, and this fear over food being unhealthy, unclean, not good for you, and what will happen to your body. And it often starts from just wanting to kind of eat well, and then this very quickly turns into very rigid rules, fears of full food groups, guilt around when those rules are broken, and just those food choices controlling your life. And for me, I was, a vulnerable 17-year-old. I just moved away from all of my friends, graduated high school. I knew nobody in the big city, Toronto. So I was already kind of susceptible to the loneliness, the isolation, the kind of uncertainty. And when we feel uncertain in our world, the body becomes a project and food becomes something to control. And I
Mhm.
started to get interested in, about nutrition, because I was feeling all these like IBS like symptoms. I didn't have a name for it at the time. But a family friend basically was like, oh, you need to go to this homeopathic naturopath or nutritionist. And so I did. And let me just say the advice was bad. This person was like, oh yes, it's sugar. You need to cut out all sugar from your diet. And I didn't know any better. I was like, okay, yeah, sugar's bad. I'm cutting out all the sugar. And then I started to get compliments. People were like, oh, you're toning up. What are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm just like cutting out like sugar from my diet. I'm just eating better. I'm just like being healthier. And I realized, again, in my kind of type A perfectionist mind, I was like, okay, if I can get a round of applause when I cut out sugar, what would happen if I cut out other bad foods? And then this just became food after food after food until the
Mm.
list of my safe foods became so small that I became like absolutely paralyzed by fear by about eating anything outside of what I had determined was allowed. And it took me years to claw my way out of that.
Wow. Wow. So how did you feel when you cut out all sugar? I mean, obviously you were getting all these compliments. Did it help with with the digestion at all? The issues with that?
At first it did, and it's not because of the sugar. Because this is something I learned once I started going to school for nutrition. It's like there's no such thing as a sugar allergy. Our body runs on sugar, so
Hmm.
this was really problematic advice to begin with. The reason I may have felt better in the beginning was because I was now cutting out such a wide range of foods that potentially could have been triggers, especially because I was cutting out all these, highly processed foods and, higher sugar, more refined carbohydrates. All of these things were kind of collateral damage,
Right.
essentially. All these other foods were collateral damage in the process of me cutting out sugar. And it's very possible that one or two of those foods were actually triggers. And that's why I was feeling better. But I obviously very quickly over time was not feeling better when I
Mm.
started to lose a copious amount of weight, shrink to incredibly unhealthy, if not like potentially deadly
Oh no.
size. And my whole world shrank. Really, I was just scared of leaving the house. I was scared of eating out. I was scared of doing anything outside of the very rigid constraints of what my eating disorder was allowing me to do.
Wow, Abby. Well, I'm so glad to have you here and share your knowledge because your book is fascinating. I'm not gonna lie, I have tried diets. I actually did the raw food diet for about 3 years. Well, raw vegan. And so I totally get that feeling about eating out. Um, when I started eating meat again and incorporating meat, red meat into my diet, I felt so much guilt. It was like I had programmed my brain have I'm sure you've experienced that as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was really hard for me, but I found myself like at the grocery store. I was so talk about being skinny. I remember going into my agency and they're like, "Are you sick?" And I was like, "No, I'm raw vegan." and like there wasn't a lot of color in my face. So now I
Mhm.
feel like I have a balance that works for me. But with the three kids, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there's been times where it's like, oh my gosh, all I had today were goldfish. So
Right. The
I
scraps off your kid's plate.
oh yes, okay, a little bite of quesadilla, maybe a little spoonful of mac and cheese. And so what I love about your book is that it's not really a diet because I feel like that word comes with like probably an ending or stress for a lot of people.
Yep.
Um, so I would love if you could just share, about the hunger crushing combo basics. If you could kind of share with the audience, because well, I was like at first when I heard about this, and then I started reading it. I was like, okay, this is making so much sense, but it's also digestible to me.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like we've kind of discussed here, our body is hardwired to fight against deprivation, right? This is survival mechanism 101. So we have all these compensatory mechanisms in the body to try to get us back to status quo. So, when your diet fails, it's not because of a lack of willpower. It is because it's not serving your biological or psychological needs. And so with the hunger crushing combo, this is simple science, but with a massive mindset shift. Because all of these diets that you're going to come across, what doesn't matter what it is, whether it's keto, raw vegan, intermittent fasting, any of those things, they're telling you to cut something out, whether that's,
Mhm.
sugar or fat or, specific food groups. And this puts us in a state of scarcity mentality
Yeah.
that always triggers hyperfixation, obsession, binging. And then, like, we talk about New Year's resolutions, people just throw in the towel and say, okay, this diet's not for me. Diet starts again tomorrow. So the hunger cushion combo method flips this script because it's working with our biology and our psychology to think about adding, not taking away. And we're going to be adding fiber, protein, healthy fats. These are the hunger crushing combos, these hunger crushing compounds that help to keep us fuller longer. They help stabilize our blood sugars.
Oh.
They help to quell those cravings of that food noise that is running your life. And they help folks reach their healthiest, happiest weight without getting into this deprivation mode.
Oh, I am obsessed. I'm obsessed. And I mean, I know about fiber, I know about healthy fats, but the way you break it down into categories was super helpful. Fiber to me is like, okay, you need to eat fiber to go regularly to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
it's, like I eat a lot of quinoa and that sort of thing. But amino acids, there's so much that I want to pick your brain on. But I love that you're saying like adding these things to your diet to also optimize how you feel because
100%.
I'm perimenopausal and I just found
Mm-hmm.
out I'm low on vitamin D and I just started taking a supplement which I have and I'm gonna want to ask you a couple of questions about that and I was feeling so sluggish. I started eating more like sautéed spinach and all these other things and I was like, man, I still feel so sluggish. So
Mm-hmm.
since I started reading your book, I've been incorporating more, but can you kind of break it down for my audience to as far as like adding some of these three,
Yes.
crushing combo methods?
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, let's break it down one by one because really, this is all about, keeping us fuller longer. And when we add these nutrients to meals, we actually tend to edge out some of the kind of less satiating, less nutritious, higher calorie, what I call naked carbs, which are essentially, the white rice, the white pasta, the white bread, the pastries, the sweets, things that don't necessarily fill or like actually make us feel fuller longer. So each of these kind of compounds have their own unique fingerprint of superpowers, nutritional superpowers. We'll start with protein.
Mhm.
So protein helps to slow digestion, which is really important, A, for keeping us full. Also important for stabilizing blood sugars so that if we are having, some protein with our white rice, it's not going to give us that spike and that crash. We're going to have a nice, even energy levels longer. It also helps to increase our satiety hormones like GLP-1, which again, everyone's talking about GLP-1s because of Ozempic. protein naturally increases these satiety hormones. And then, of course, protein is important because it helps to build muscle, right?
Hmm.
And muscle burns 3 times as many calories at rest compared to fat.
Oh, wow.
So, you mentioned we are in perimenopause. As we go through these years as women, it becomes more important to try to maintain that metabolic muscle mass as long as we possibly can. So that's why I love protein. And then obviously, like protein sources, we're talking about poultry, eggs, legumes, beans, tofu, other soy products, things like that. And then fiber, you mentioned. I love that you mentioned, like, yeah, so we always just think of like fiber as the poop nutrient, right? Like,
Yes.
okay, I need to eat fiber so I can be regular, but it's so much more than that. It's so important. First of all, 95% of North Americans are not getting enough fiber, and this is a travesty
Mm.
because fiber also slows digestion, so great for blood sugars, great for satiety. Also increases those satiety hormones, helps with heart health because it lowers cholesterol,
Oh.
um, feeds our good gut microbiome. And this is critical because the health of the microbiome impacts the health of every other bodily system, our immune system, our mental health, our weight management, hormones, blood sugar management, heart health, everything.
Wow.
So that's very important. And then when it comes to weight management specifically, fiber has what we call like the lowest calorie density out of any kind of food that we consume, meaning we get a lot of volume for not a lot of calories. So when you are adding more of these high fiber foods, the research shows there's a study that found that adding 12 grams of fiber slashed people's calories by 300 calories without even thinking about it. They
Wow.
didn't they didn't track, they didn't like try to, they weren't in like, oh, I'm on a diet, I need to eat less. No, they just felt fuller longer, and then they ended up eating 300 calories less. Um,
Interesting.
very, very interesting. And that's why we don't take away, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with protein. The research found that when people went from 10 to 15% of total calories from protein, which is a average American intake of protein, to 20 to 30% of total calories from protein, they slashed 400 calories without thinking about it. They weren't like, I'm on a diet, so I need to cut calories. They weren't thinking about it. It happened intuitively, it happened spontaneously. And that is critical because it doesn't put you in that state of scarcity mentality that
Hmm.
then triggers this, I'm going to binge, I'm going to
Yes.
hyperfixate on these foods, all of that. Um, and then there's fats, because I think, thank goodness, fat is having a renaissance right now. I'm like, oh, because I grew up in the low fat days, right? Like,
Yeah.
these millennials, we remember when fat was bad. And fat is really important also because, again, stabilizes, it slows down digestion, it increases our satiety hormones, but it also provides long tail satisfaction because it
Mm.
provides flavor, texture, pleasure that we just don't get from like
Ooh.
protein and carbs. Right.
Sexy.
So
Yeah.
sexy times, right? Like, have you ever tried to eat a salad with no dressing, no avocado, no
Mm-mm.
nuts, no cheese, nothing? You're not going to feel satisfied, right?
At
So
all.
this is a
Let's
really
dress it up
important
with some
piece.
ranch. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes,
What have you?
100%. Whatever. Honestly, if it gets you to eat your vegetables, I'm here for the ranch. So yes, I think that those three things together, when we add the fiber, protein, healthy fats, we see a significant reduction in blood sugars by as much as 50%. And we also see that we can be slashing 300 to 500 calories without thinking about it.
And that I think is so beautiful because yeah, when I eat like a turkey bowl or something like that, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm full and I feel like energized." Whereas if
Hmm.
I go out for Mexican food, sometimes I'm like, "Wow, I need a nap. I feel so heavy." And that's just user error. But thank you for breaking this down. And I think that it's like there are things that we know, but the way that you've organized it makes it super easy to be like, I could do this.
Hmm.
It's not scarcity. So, if somebody's listening, what would like just like a first step be if they want to start adding some of these things. Obviously, go run and get this book. It's out now.
Yes.
I'm gonna probably have to read it twice and highlight a little bit and go back to it because, like I said, sometimes you just forget about these
Mm-hmm.
things. And since I started reading, I'm like, wait, I have this at my house. I can just, put a little bit of this on and a little bit of coconut,
100%.
adding it
And
to
there's
it.
lots of like cheat sheets in the last part where you can see, all the most efficient sources of protein and
Hmm.
fiber and healthy fats. So you can like mix, choose your own adventure kind of thing, which is really the goal here. Because I don't want people to have a meal plan. I want people to
Hmm.
have a framework that fits their life. So you can make it work for you. But I think the first step is really that mindset shift because diet culture has always taught us, especially if we've been on and off of diets our entire lives, like probably most of your listeners have been,
Yeah,
um,
I've
right?
been.
Yes, everyone, right? Because we're women. Like this is the hands we were dealt.
I tried
But
paleo once. I called it
oh,
paleo. It's
oh
just
my
like
God.
which I have a
Ah!
I we are gonna do some of these trends at the towards the end here because there's just too much at our
Oh no, I know.
fingertips. And I think that too, the way you've simplified it and it's just gonna be super helpful for people. So could you give us a few
100%.
examples of a true hunger crushing meal? I'm
Yeah.
guessing like
Okay.
all three together. I'm a masher. Am I out of turn on that?
No, that's absolutely right. So the way I see it is like one hunger crushing compound, great. Two is even better. Three, you get the full effect. So, let's talk about a breakfast, for example. Let's say you love white toast. I'm not going to tell you to not eat the white toast, but dress it up, right? That's our naked carb. Let's dress it up with those hunger crushing compounds. So maybe we're going
Yes.
to do some avocado for our healthy fats, plus fiber. Avocado is great because it's what I call a dual citizen because it's got fiber and healthy fats. Then we'll
I
maybe
didn't
do,
know that when you just, I
yes.
had no clue avocado. I just always think of that meme. It's like, I'm a good fat. But I was like, wait,
Mm-hmm.
there's fiber in it too?
So much fiber. It's a powerhouse of fiber. So yes, don't sleep on the avocado. So yes, we do some avocado in there. Maybe we do some eggs for our protein.
Mm.
We do some berries on the side for some more fiber. So we've got fiber, protein, healthy fats. That is going to keep you satiated. That's one example. Lunch. I mean, really, the sky is the limit. Let's say you want to do, let's say you're a bagel person. No
Mhm.
worries. You don't need to cut out your bagel. You don't have to cut out,
Your pay.
your grains, right? So load it up. Add some roast chicken on there for our protein. Add a bunch of veggies on top. Serve it with a side salad for our fiber. Add some avocado or a nice little pesto spread for some healthy fats. You've got to anchor it with those hunger crushing compounds.
Okay.
And then dinner. I mean, who doesn't love pasta? We had pasta like last night in my house.
Yum.
But we can rest that up. We could stretch those naked carbs. Instead of eating a mountain of just like pasta and sauce, we do a little bit of pasta and a little bit of spiralized zucchini for some fiber. And then we
Ooh.
throw in some, turkey meatballs for our protein and some olives and parmesan for our healthy fats in there. Maybe some mushrooms for more fiber. So, just think abundance. We need to get into that abundance mindset of
Yeah.
adding rather than, oh, I can't eat this. Oh, I can't eat the pasta. Oh, I can't eat the bread, because that's going to trigger the binge. That's going to trigger you to go back to your typical way of eating where you're always being distracted by that food noise.
Ugh, I'm salivating. I'm salivating because we do pasta at least once a week. I'm part
Of
Italian,
course.
spaghetti Sunday, but like I'm like I have mushrooms in my fridge right now. I think I'm gonna do it tonight. I have turkey because I've been trying to lose a little bit of weight still since the third baby
Mhm.
came, and that is super helpful. Okay, what about chips? That's just maybe
I
don't
love chips.
love them. Okay,
No, no,
is there any way
honey.
to dress up a chip?
Uh-huh. I can think of lots of ways. I mean, like, let's serve them with some guacamole. for
Yeah.
some
Hmm.
for a little chip and dip. There's our healthy fats and some fiber. We could do like even a layered dip with like a cottage cheese, cheddar, high protein kind of, like a layered dip kind of thing. I
Mm.
love that. And then just serve it on the plate with a bunch of vegetables for dipping as well. So you're getting the satisfaction of having that salty crunch. You're not saying I'm not eating chips. You're basically neutralizing their power over you by putting them on the same plate as these other nutrient dense foods. Like even like a cookie, right? Like old you might have had a cookie and then thought, oh my God, I blew my diet. I'm going to eat the whole sleeve of cookies. No, we don't need to think that way anymore. Put the
Hmm.
cookie on the plate with these hunger crushing compounds. So
Yes.
now it's just another food. It's just a collection of banal nutrients,
Hmm.
not good, not bad, but it's just another food that's on the plate with some berries and nuts and some cheese. And it's part of a balanced snack that we don't need to hyperfixate and obsess over.
Oh, this is so good. This is so good. So I'm a big believer in listening to your body. Like if you're having a craving, obviously don't eat the
Mhm.
whole lasagna, but for example, that time of the month, I'm usually like, oh, red meat's looking really good, or maybe I'm low on iron, etc. If you're at the store and you start salivating when you see a certain food,
Mhm.
listen to your body, and it sounds like you believe in that as well. You talk about working with your hunger instead of fighting it. So, what does
Mhm.
that look like day to day?
Yeah. So working with our hunger means treating hunger as objective information, not something to pathologize or fear or another problem to fix or just annihilate. And so day to day, this could look like a few very simple shifts. So first, actually eat when you're hungry. Even if
Hmm.
it's not the quote unquote perfect time or the usual time for food. I mean, if your body's asking for fuel, this is not a sign of weakness or a lack of discipline. This is your body giving you information about what it needs. And when we listen, we're actually able to serve it in a way that supports our healthiest, happiest way. And then, of course, we want to build meals that respect our biology and not just willpower. So that's again where the hunger crushing combo method comes into play because it's going to help your body feel steady and satisfied and
Hmm.
satiated rather than you riding those blood sugar highs and crashes and always thinking about food. I mean, hunger is such an important biological sign you know, since the dawn of time, if we didn't feel hunger, like our caveman ancestors would have just waited to be eaten by something that did feel hunger. So we need to respect that. And when we work with those cues, we're actually able to manage to maintain a healthy body weight. And then
Hmm.
also honoring that there are different types of hunger. Sometimes you're hungry for actual energy and calories,
Hmm.
and sometimes you're hungry for comfort or pleasure. And all of those are valid. And so I think that once we start to see hunger as our friend and not necessarily something that we need to snuff out and get rid of, um, we're able to actually the cravings and the food noise actually gets quieter,
Hmm.
not louder, and that is really really important. And you start to eat in ways, if you are a person who is typically eating emotionally, I want to validate that food is emotional, right? Like we
Hmm.
never want food to not be emotional, but when food becomes the only emotional tool in the emotional regulation toolbox, then it becomes hard for us to actually listen to our body's true needs and eat in a way that serves us and it feels like self-care rather than self-punishment. So this is again where that hunger crushing combo method comes into play because we are nipping that in the bud. We're getting rid of the morality around food. we're
Yes.
we're honoring those cues non-judgmentally. We're not judging ourselves like, oh my gosh, oh, I'm craving sugar again. I'm such a failure. Like, why can't I just work harder or do better or have more willpower? We are honoring those cues non-judgmentally, and in the end, we're actually able to fuel our body in a way that feels like self-care.
Oh, oh, yes. Yes, you guys, just think about that for a moment. So you must be feeling like your best self. How long have you been incorporating this? Have you been living it?
Um, at least a decade. I believe
Wow.
I even trademarked this concept, the Hunger Crushing combo, maybe 7 years ago. And it has been really my kind of trademark approach to nutrition because I've seen firsthand what getting out of that scarcity mentality, what this additive approach really does. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so simple because, like you mentioned earlier, every week there's a new diet popping up, right?
Yes.
Keto, intermittent fasting, low carb, high carb. It's so overwhelming for the layperson to try the mental gymnastics of trying to sort through, oh my God, okay, when can I have when is my feasting window? Am I allowed to eat this? What are the allowed foods? This simplifies it to just three things:
Yeah.
fiber, protein, healthy fats. And what ends up happening, like I said, is we edge out those less nutritious foods. We also get the whole food matrix of what fiber rich foods, what protein rich foods, what healthy fat rich foods have to offer,
Mhm.
whether that's specific micronutrients, iron, for example, in protein rich foods, B vitamins in whole grains, mono and omega-3 fats, or omega-3 fats in fatty fish, or monounsaturated
Mm.
fats in avocados. Like, this is the whole food matrix that makes a massive difference in our long-term health and reduced risk of chronic disease.
Oh, oh gosh. Well, I hope everybody picks this up and I'm
Hmm.
I've been doing it now and it's just shifted my mindset and it's been so helpful. I'm not even thinking about it as a diet and I feel like I've already lost a little weight. It's been really
Yay.
hard to lose. I was honestly and that's going to lead me into like some diet trends that I would love to pick your brain on for the
Hmm.
audience because people are shrinking around us.
Hmm.
They are taking, no offense to anybody. I'm going to throw out a couple diet trends. I mean, we've already touched on a couple,
Yep.
the raw food meal. I have tried intermittent fasting. I've heard really
Hmm.
amazing things about it. Um, but obviously, a lot of people are taking Ozempic, and I was considering doing it. I work out. My motivation has been a little bit hard during the winter, but I would love to hear what you think about Ozempic. I was thinking about starting to do it, and then I've also heard some research that they're finding, and obviously I'm not a doctor nor do I play one, that it's maybe the long-term effects are they're finding that people aren't experiencing joy in other areas of life now because of that.
Yeah, yeah. So we still need more research on that, but
Okay.
anecdotally and physiologically, if you think about it, because Ozempic works in the reward centers of the brain,
Mm,
this is why it's able to effectively quiet, quote unquote, food noise in
right.
folks who have been dealing with this persistent, chatter in their brain all day long about food. And this is really who the demographic for whom this medication specifically is incredibly, powerfully important, because for folks who have been, struggling with their weight and or diabetes, and this persistent, nonstop talk in their brain, the mental gymnastics of, oh, I'm hungry. Oh, what do I feel like eating? Oh, I can't eat this. Oh, that looks good. Oh, that smells good. That can really take over your entire life.
Yeah.
But because it seems to kind of quiet that noise, it's also being shown to potentially quiet other sources of joy in our life, and kind of that dulling out
Mm.
of our perception of pleasure. And so, yes, that is a real concern, I would say, and you really have to kind of weigh out the risk and benefit, on an individual level. And I can't do that for any person, but I will say that there will be a lot of folks harmed by the social pressure to use GLP-1s unnecessarily when there are real risks like this. One of the other major risks that I'm particularly concerned about, is the risk of muscle mass loss,
Right.
because the research shows that because of the velocity, that the speed at which weight is lost on these
Mm.
medications, and also the fact that we don't have a huge appetite on these medications. So it's very hard to eat enough protein
Mm.
because protein is so satiating. What we see is like up to 40% of the weight loss may be from metabolic muscle mass. And so for us women, again, going through perimenopause and menopause, when our metabolism is already starting to slow and our muscle mass is already starting to decline,
Yeah.
if we want to be able to maintain our independence long term and also body composition. I mean, we don't want to just lose weight. We don't want to lose muscle mass. We want to lose body fat. And unfortunately, not just with this diet, but with GLP-1s, but with any diet, we can't really discriminate where that weight is coming from.
Yeah.
And so, like otherwise we'd all look
But
like Barbie, right? Like,
yeah.
we'd have tiny waists and big boobs and, and bubble butt, but that's just not the reality of the way weight loss works. And so, that is my big concern for folks who are going on these medications. You have to make absolute sure that the benefits outweigh the risks. And I think for most people, well, most people, just not necessarily most people taking these medications, I can't speak to that, but for a lot of folks, it certainly would not.
Mm. Oh, goodness. So I was like thinking about starting to try it, but I'm like, let's just start with this book, which I'm already feeling like I'm a person that I retain a lot of water. I would love to hear
Mm-hmm.
if there's any tips on that, like just especially during that time of the month for me and my
Mm-hmm.
hormones. I feel like it just shows up in my face or my belly, but I have been noticing like I feel like I'm kind of leaning out a little bit just by
Amazing.
I
I love to hear
know.
that. And that's really we're trying to help people, reach their healthiest, happiest weight without getting into that restrictive mentality that most of these diets are recommending. Because, people ask me all the time, I'll go to a dinner party and people are like, oh, you're a dietitian. Like they'll ask me about their diet. Is this
Ugh.
a good diet? And I'm always like, can you do this for the rest of your life? Because if the answer is no, it's not a good diet. And that's this you can do for the rest of your life.
And you have some great examples in your book about juicing and
Mhm.
even you just saying like eating a salad. Every time I watch the Kardashians, they are just eating salads after salad after salad. And I'm like,
Yeah,
holy
it's true.
mackerel, they're keeping that
Mhm.
business alive. But
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Well, that is super helpful and some good food for thought for people as well,
Mhm.
because I love that you talked about food being pleasurable. And I would hate to not be craving some of my I love a good bowl of pasta.
Mhm.
I love popcorn, which I wanted to ask you about. I'm like, oh, it's you probably get asked these questions all the time. But we did touch on social media and diet culture. I mean, you see so much. I've actually had to turn the volume down a little bit because
Mhm.
also comparison too.
Yeah.
With my first, afterwards, I bounced back pretty quick. Second, a little slower. Okay, my third. Now I'm in my 40s, and there has been basically no bounce back. Um, but how do you think that that is affecting the younger generation? Are you seeing anything? Is there anything that you could share there? Because I worry a little bit. There's just so much out there, also from just like influencers, not even like a
Oh yeah.
registered dietitian.
Yep, I'm terrified. I think part of the reason why social media makes that this is such an issue with diet culture is it makes everything feel urgent and broadcasted and amplified.
Yeah.
And when you're scrolling and seeing constant posts about clean eating, restrictive hacks, thin body goals, foods being labeled as morally good or bad, or this is toxic. Like every single time I open the feed, it's like a
Hmm.
new food is toxic,
Yes.
vegetables are toxic, chicken is toxic, oatmeal is toxic, like everything is toxic.
Tomatoes.
Um, oh my God. Like, and this is communicating this like very clear message to young folks that your worth is tied to the way you look and the way you eat. And I think it like I mentioned before, when I was going through my own eating disorder, I did not have social media, thank goodness.
Mm.
But the thing is that we've really blurred the lines between celebrities and regular people. So, what we see influencers eat or do or look like feels like something we absolutely should be able to achieve. Whereas in the past, when we looked at a magazine, we're like, oh, they're a celebrity, like, they have everything, and we're just the peasants. Now we're kind of like we're all on the same playing field.
Yeah.
But the problem is, it's all just a highlight reel, and I don't think that young folks really acknowledge this, or even adults, right? Like we're
Yeah.
just now so accustomed to seeing everything through a filter. Everything is edited to communicate a specific message or a brand aesthetic. This is not real life. And so, for young adults and adolescents whose brains are still developing and who are incredibly sensitive to social feedback,
Yeah.
this environment really normalizes disordered thinking about food and body image. And so what we're seeing is a huge increase in anxiety about eating, more shame around food, and just more people disconnected from their natural hunger and fullness cues.
Ugh, that's really scary, especially as
Hmm.
I have a daughter, one daughter, and
Hmm.
I think about that for her and growing up. And ugh, Abby, that is really well said. And you see these videos about like what I eat in a day. And
Oh, yeah.
do you think that's helpful or harmful?
It's mostly harmful. And I think the reason for that, I mean, if you watch any What I Eat in a Day, they all start with a body check, right? And usually you don't even see the face. It's just like boobs down and like a
Yeah.
toned, like and like a matching set. It's like, this is what I eat in a day, just my toned abs and boobs. And so, what this communicates is that, oh, if you want to look like this, you have to eat like this. It's a prescription. And the reality is that's not the way bodies work, right? Like
No.
you and I could eat the exact same meal exactly, and our bodies are going to do different things with it. Not to mention, like I said earlier, social media is just a highlight reel, right? So
Yeah.
we don't actually know if that influencer ate that. We don't know if they restricted before. We don't know if they binged after. We don't know if they just threw that beautiful avocado toast out because it had
Yeah.
too many calories. And so, I think that's it's really hard for people to make sense of what's actually going on in these. And so ultimately, I don't think that they're generally very helpful because it breeds the social comparison.
Mm. Which I think, especially with the young women, keep scrolling.
Mm-mm.
Eat that avocado toast. So,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
well, I hate to ask you, but since I have you here, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. Like, so what do you eat in a day? Like a real day,
Yeah.
Abby. I mean, you've got two
Yeah.
kids. Like I said, I sometimes I'm like, wow, it's noon and I all I've had is a couple kid snacks. But like a real day for you, I would love to hear because
Totally.
if you're just listening to audio, you guys, you're glowing. Your skin's beautiful. Like you said, you just got back from part of your book tour in New York. It's freezing where you're at, but
Hmm.
you have your skin, everything. You look so healthy and rested,
Thank you.
good energy. But yeah, I would love to hear what an average day for you looks like.
Okay, so I mean, first of all, I don't like what I watch these what I eat in a days, and I'm like, they're making like a three-course meal in the middle of the day. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Who has time to uh, take out a frying pan and make chicken breast in the middle of the day? I don't. So yeah, I mean, I like you said, like I have kids, and so we keep it simple in my house. I also have
Love
ADHD,
it.
so I like to, I basically have like meal templates that I then kind of switch up so I don't have to think about it on these busy days. So
Oh, I
I
love
drink a lot of
that.
coffee. Yeah.
Oh,
And
me
that's
too.
really key, especially because otherwise you get in this like, oh, you're so overwhelmed by the executive functioning
Yes.
required to think of through a meal that you're like, I'm just going to eat a bowl of cereal, like, or the goldfish, right?
I get it.
Um,
I open my fridge and I'm
mhm,
looking at everything we have and I'm like, we're stocked. We have everything for success, but I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to
mhm.
make after when you're
Yes.
tired.
Yes, exactly. So having those meal templates that you don't have to think about is so key. So for me, breakfast, one of my like favorite breakfast, first of all, I drink a lot of coffee.
I
I
love
love
it.
coffee. Like I said, I have ADHD, so I love me a stimulant. But I drink lattes, so I have it with soy milk, so it's got like 8 grams per cup of protein. Right now, one of my favorite breakfasts is like sourdough bread toast with apple butter and cottage cheese on top for healthy for my protein and some like crushed
Yum.
nuts. And then I eat a lot of fruit. So I'll always have like some fruit on the side. I generally have a protein shake at some point in the day, depending on, when I worked out. I've got,
Mm.
like you mentioned earlier, I've got my own protein line, New Theory. So I typically get that in usually in the morning. And then lunch, again, like I don't have a ton of time. So I subscribe to this thing called Inspired Go. and it's like a salad meal kit and it's amazing. And
Ooh.
so the one I had today had greens, beets, apples, chev, and pumpkin seeds. And then I just like throw whatever protein I had like the night before. So like chicken or, shrimp or whatever, salmon, I throw that on.
Ooh, I
And
love
then,
salmon on a salad.
oh, it's my favorite. We eat salmon like once a week, actually. So
Same.
that's what yeah. And that's what we had the other night. So again, with kids, you basically need like meal components because they don't want things like touching in a casserole, right? Like, so
Yes.
everything has to be separate, which is great for the hunger crushing combo because like you can very clearly see you've got your vegetables, you've got your protein, you've got your carbs, your healthy fats. So one of our favorite meals that I probably make once a week is this like DIY salmon like taco sushi situation. So I do like salmon fillets with teriyaki sauce,
Oh,
rice. I get like those like little mini seaweed pieces that so we
yeah.
like make our own little sushi tacos with the salmon and the rice. And then I do like steamed broccoli with like sesame seeds and sesame oil. And then we do avocado and cucumber strips and like the kids just love the interactive nature of like building their own little bites.
That's brilliant.
Um,
I
so
want
that's
to
one of my
try
favorite
that.
dinners. Do it, do it. Kids love it. And then I have a big bedtime snack, like big, like a basically a whole other meal. Um, because I need the calories before bed to feel full to get through the night. So I usually have like a bowl of Greek yogurt or cottage cheese with like fruit, kiwi,
Mm,
grapes, mango, berries, and then like a little hemp hearts and like a handful of cereal because I like crunch. And then
yeah.
I usually have a bowl of popcorn too. You talked about popcorn. I
Yes.
love popcorn.
I was going to
I
ask you, is that
love
good for
popcorn.
you? Because I could eat it every night. I love
Well,
it.
I do eat it almost every night, so it better be good for me. No, I'm totally into popcorn. It's a great source of fiber. 5 to 6 cups of popcorn, air pop popcorn gets you like 6 to 7 grams of fiber, which is amazing. And it's
I,
like
s-
low in calories, right? 150 to 180 calories for all that fiber.
mm,
I love popcorn again. Eat it.
yes. I am so glad to hear that. Obviously, we just went to the movie theater and I almost ate a whole tub. And obviously the sodium I gotta watch because then
Yes.
I can retain water so easily.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, this is giving my mind is off to the races. I think I'm gonna start doing that, especially before bed, because I want to also trend in towards sleep because I know you talk about that a lot, and you were
Yes.
saying like I need to eat these before bed. Do you
Mhm.
find that it helps you sleep well? And I love sleep. I need sleep. And you had a great episode talking about sleep. Go listen to it on Abby's
Mhm.
podcast, Bite Back. It made me feel like, okay, I'm not alone here because I try to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, if I can. My
Same.
husband doesn't need as much sleep. Like he's up.
Same.
That episode, I was like, oh, I'm not alone. You're expert that you had on, and you talk a lot about
Mhm.
it in your book. So can you share your thoughts on sleep and the importance?
Oh, let me count the
Oh,
ways I
breathe
love
it in.
sleep. No, it is so important. It's one of those things, again, like diet culture and wellness culture loves to like focus on all these like little hacks, but really it's the basics like sleep that matter. And, when it comes to getting a bad night's sleep, like
Mm,
I don't know if you've experienced this, but if you get bad sleep, what happens the next day? You are ravenous because your ghrelin, which is our hunger hormone, gets revved up and our satiety hormone, like leptin, quiets down. And then of course, we also see a dysregulation of cortisol. So we get these cravings for like high carb, high fat, kind of high value foods.
right.
So if weight management is a goal of yours, making sure we're getting good sleep is so critical because the research even shows that, folks that do undersleep, sleeping less than 6 hours per night is linked to higher BMI, higher waist circumference. And again, this is there's many reasons. It's the hunger hormones. You've got less energy to actually like want to go to the gym or work out.
Mm-hmm.
And you just crave those higher sugar carbs. And so uh, there's I've always being a bedtime snack person, despite what diet culture has taught us that, like, oh, if
Yeah.
you eat after 8 p.m., you're going to gain weight. Not true. Not true. You only gain weight if it's in a calorie excess, but if it's meeting your nutrient needs, you're not going to gain weight, and it may help to support your sleep, especially carbs, complex carbs, those high fiber carbs
Mhm.
like popcorn. Yes, yes, that is going to increase insulin, which helps tryptophan cross the blood-brain barrier, which is the precursor to serotonin, and melatonin, which is our sleep hormone.
Mm.
So I always have some complex carbs before bed, plus the protein. The protein is really important here,
So, and
um,
what did you say?
because that's going
Cottage
to help.
cheese? Because I just
Yes,
started eating cottage cheese. In my mind, I always thought, oh, it's bad. It's not good for you. And my kids love it. My
yes,
husband eats it with, what does he put? Some fruit in it, a little
yep,
pineapple.
same.
So
Oh, pineapple's the best. Isn't it?
I'm gonna start doing that. I'm not a big fruit person. There was a myth I heard once that you shouldn't eat fruit after like 12 o'clock. It's like because there's a lot of natural sugar in it. No?
No.
Okay.
Lies, all
What?
lies. Fruit, there's so much data that including more fruit in our diet is linked to a reduced risk of chronic disease. The sugar that we find in fruit is not the sugar we need to be concerned about because it is wrapped up in the food matrix with the fiber. So it is incredibly nutritious. Don't be afraid of fruit, and don't be afraid to give your kiddos fruit. If your kids are like,
Yeah.
I don't like vegetables, don't feel bad if your kids don't eat vegetables. Fruit is such an amazing source of the same nutrients of fiber, plus, of course, those energizing carbs for kiddos, which are really key too.
Well, I'm glad to hear it because they eat a lot of fruit and there
Yeah.
our plumbing over here, is everybody is regular and
Yes.
I think that that's something that is also that you talk about and I don't know
Mm-hmm.
about you, but I mean, everybody poops and you feel so much
Mm-hmm.
better when you're
Oh my
regular
God.
and it seems like with eating healthy and eating all of these
Mm-hmm.
three, things together,
Yes.
maybe that could help a lot of people as well.
Absolutely. When, like you said, there's nothing better than having regular full evacuation, and there's nothing worse than being constipated. Honestly, it makes me the most like
Crappy.
cranky person,
Yeah, I was saying
cranky.
cranky.
Oh, yes. So yes, and one of the biggest mistakes people make is actually not eating enough, because when we don't eat enough,
Oh, wow.
our digestive organs actually atrophy, and we're not
Ooh,
going to get the reflex to actually have a bowel movement. So that's actually one of the biggest reasons why people are constipated, is they're not eating enough.
interesting. And then water.
Yes.
I drink
Oh yeah.
so much water. I don't know how some people, I have people in my close to me that just don't drink water or they'll drink like
Mm-hmm.
soda all day. And I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
how can they feel good? Like look, you just took a sip of water. I'm like,
Yes, you remind me. I'm like, oh, and I'm so thirsty. I'm gonna drink more. I have like high water needs. My husband also drinks no
yes,
water, and he's like, you have to go pee again. I'm like, yes, because I drink
always.
a good amount of water.
I always have to pee. Oh gosh. Well, I have taken up a lot of your time. I have so many questions I could ask you, but we did touch on perimenopausal and I much like these diet trends on social media, there are so many supplements. Like, I did find out I was low on vitamin D, such
Mm,
a game changer, but I see so many influencers with so many different brands selling me so many different supplements, fish oil, and like I said, I eat relatively healthy. Um,
hmm.
but I'm learning and that people don't talk about as you age and you get into your 40s. I would love it if you could share some, help for me and my audience on supplements. And
Sure.
I would love to any knowledge you could share with me because I don't know enough about it.
Yes. Yes. Well,
I don't. And I think you're do you
I
sell
am.
supplements?
I
Okay.
do. I have a supplement line called New Theory, and we are a gut friendly supplement line. Our lead product is a 2-in-1 plant-based probiotic protein powder. So it's protein powder plus probiotics. And as we get into those perimenopause years, um, protein is really important, like I mentioned
Okay.
earlier, because we are at higher risk of losing our metabolic muscle mass. And ultimately, like, protein is probably the most time consuming and requires the most thought and skill to prepare. Like I said earlier, I'm not going to bust out a frying pan and make chicken breasts in the middle of my workday. Like it's got to be easy to get the protein in. So that's really one of the reasons why I created New Theory, was because I just did not have the bandwidth to be able to meet my own protein needs, that what I know feels good to my body. And so a lot of us are not getting, not that we're not getting enough protein, because as Americans are definitely getting enough protein total, but we may not be getting enough efficient sources of protein.
Right.
Meaning, good protein bang for the caloric buck. We can get enough protein from eating Big Macs all day, but we're also getting a lot of calories and
Hmm.
carbs and saturated fat. So a high quality protein powder can be really helpful just to take the guesswork out of meeting those protein needs. Fiber supplements as well, I think, can be very helpful for
Really?
folks,
Okay.
because, like I said, 95% of North Americans are not getting enough fiber. And we are always going to push food first. Like, yes, I want you to eat as much fiber rich food as you possibly can. But there are a lot of folks for various reasons who just can't seem to get it in. And so getting a fiber supplement like psyllium or partially hydrolyzed guar gum, those are my two favorites.
Never heard of them.
Can I know
See?
they're big words. Psyllium and partially hydrolyzed guar gum, or PHGG
Okay.
is the kind of easy term. Those can be really beneficial for regularity and gut health, cholesterol satiety, all of that. And then vitamin D, I would say most people, I mean, you live in Arizona, right? So
Yeah.
you do have regular exposure to the sun, but ideally we're using sun protection as much as possible. And so if
True.
we are using sun protection adequately, vitamin D3 may be really helpful. So I always recommend getting your levels checked, as you mentioned, because that's going to help determine how big a dose you're actually going to need. Some people might need a little, some people might need a lot to actually to get the benefits. So, and then outside of that, really, it just comes down to your goals, and also what your blood work says. Some people may
Right.
really benefit from an omega-3 supplement because they don't eat any fatty fish. A lot of
Oh,
folks, a high quality probiotic, which is exactly why, like, we combined the probiotic with the protein in New Theory. Magnesium bisglycinate can be really helpful for a lot of women as well, a magnesium supplement.
never thought of
um,
it.
yeah, so those are some of the ones that I see most often being helpful. But
Okay.
again, like, it just comes down to what your diet looks like, what your goals look like, what your health condition is, and mostly what your blood work says. I want people to get blood work done regularly.
Okay, I need to. And you touched on probiotics, and I realized I just had a memory. I used to take probiotics all the time. I kept them in my fridge. I haven't done that in years. So where can people buy your supplements? I'm gonna run and get some because you're in Canada, but for us in
It's
this,
all online. Yeah.
okay,
So we're really an American brand. So you
great.
can find us at newtheory.com. And then we will be expanding into some more shops in the new year. If you're in New
Ooh,
York, we're at Pop Up Grocer. But yes, definitely check us out on at newtheory.com. You can order from there.
well, gosh. Oh my gosh, Abby, thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. I am so excited about your book. I'm sure you're going to hit the New York's best time seller list if you
Oh,
haven't already.
thank you.
And where can everybody follow along with you?
Yeah, so you can find me at Abby's Kitchen, Abbeys Kitchen. Basically on all platforms, TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram. I've got a blog, and then of course my podcast is Bite Back with Abbey Sharp.
It's so good. I'm
Thank you.
hooked on it. Is there anything else you want to share? Did I miss anything? I think we
I think
covered a lot of
you've
ground
covered a
today.
lot. I know. I love it. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.